Every once in a while, a revolutionary product comes along that changes everything. Apple's been very fortunate. It's been able to introduce a few of these into the world.
How do you measure innovation? The millions of jobs created, billions of devices sold, or the number of lives that have been changed? Can the future Apple is developing be as bright as its past?
We're going to give you things that you just don't know that you need today.
Never underestimate a high-quality company with the best products and great management. In other words, don't underestimate Apple. Remember a year ago when Apple stock was trading at $93 and the company was under fire from its critics? Tim Cook, the fabulous CEO, came on Mad Money, making a compelling case for his business. Since then, the stock has rocketed up nearly 60%, climbing to 147 as of today. Of course, if you traded out of it, sorry. I mention this because when Apple reported again last night, even though the headline numbers were good, the company's gotten a lot of criticism for its weaker than anticipated iPhone sales, somewhat softer than expected guidance for the next quarter. But the stock barely got dinged in response. You know why? Because there was so much good here. Many analysts are choosing to ignore. And I think that this is a story where you need to focus on all the exciting things that are coming your way in the not-too-distant future, like the iPhone 8 launching this fall and the company's fast-growing service revenue stream that I love so much and I bet will soon accelerate as the ecosystem expands and more great stuff gets offered to the burgeoning subscriber base. But do not take it from me. We got a chance to talk to the man himself, Tim Cook, the terrific CEO of Apple, about his company's past performance and its future prospects right in Cupertino earlier today. Take a look. Tim, last year at this time we sat down, the stock was at 93. The headlines were all about how the company's best days were behind it. You said that the customers love the product. As long as they do, then I'm not going to worry. Do you feel vindicated?
You know, I didn't really worry about what people were saying then because I care very much about our users, and I strongly believe that if they're happy over the long term, other things will take care of itself. And so we had a lot of confidence, and it's good to be here today, but we don't really look at the stock, you know, because for us, it's about the long term. Okay. And so we're very much focused on long-term shareholder value, but not the short-term kind of stuff.
But there has to be a sense that when you read that the company is dead, that it just seems like it's a bit unfair.
Well, I just thought it was absurd.
Okay.
And people just not understanding the company.
Do people understand when the headlines today were that it was a disappointing quarter, even though almost every company in the world, every company in the world would kill for what you just did?
Yeah, I look at that honestly, and we had a great quarter. If you get into the numbers just a little bit for a few minutes, the Mac grew 14%. This was huge. Services continued this really fast growth. It grew 18% year on year, and we continue to be on target to be a Fortune 100 company this year with our services business. The watch almost doubled year on year. iPhone grew in revenue sense because the iPhone 7 Plus was just off the charts. It's so incredibly popular, so much more popular than we planned. You know, we knew we had a killer product, but so many people love portrait mode and the large, beautiful screen and all the other aspects of the phone. And it's become such an integral part of their life that a lot of people are loving that 7 Plus. And so we grew strongly in 4 out of 5 of the operating segments, of the geographic segments. We didn't grow in China, but we did remarkably better than we did over the second half of last year, which is what we expected, and it's what we delivered. And we feel that we'll do even better there this quarter.
Well, let's think about that notion of the consumer and what you care about.
Yeah.
Let's say a consumer product company had 5% organic growth, 10% earnings per share, beat by 8 cents, and at the same time had price increases when all consumer products companies are struggling with price decreases. I believe that you would sell at 24 times earnings, which coincidentally is the same price earnings multiple of Clorox, which is a bleach company. Do you find it somewhat ironic that the most basic commodity has much higher price earnings multiple than the greatest consumer product of all time?
You know, for us, we look at that and we say, you know, we can invest in our company and invest in our stock, and we do believe it's undervalued, and so we're buying it back. And so from that point of view, there's an opportunity in that as well. But over the long haul, I think it will. I strongly believe that it will be at a fair value, and so. You know, that's how we look at it.
But is it reasonable to think it's the greatest consumer product technology company as opposed to a razor blade that sells it at 23 times earnings?
Yeah, I think the iPhone is the best consumer product ever. That's what I feel about it. And it's become so integrated and integral to our lives. You wouldn't think about leaving home without it. It's your health data is there. You're paying with it from an Apple Pay point of view. You're messaging your friends, the community that you're a part of. It's your navigation system. It's your news. For many people, they've moved all of their video to watching on a mobile product, and you know, the iPhone is at the center of that.
The 7 Plus clearly is a cord cutter.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so there's so many of these things that it has that it's so integrated into all aspects of your life that I think I don't know that there's a consumer product that's made such a profound change in people, and with the ecosystem behind it, the fact that it's unleashed millions of developers to develop their passion and provide to customers, you know, something that maybe it's been a hobby for them, but now they're unleashing it around the world, and it's unbelievable.
But on the conference call, you mentioned 2 troubling issues. You talked about how we are working on getting China better. Curious to know why they seem to have cooled, but better than last year at this time. And then you also talked about the idea that, yes, people are holding back. Some are waiting, perhaps because of a new phone. These were things you addressed. So I'd like to just flesh them out with the people who watch, who own the phone, who are confused by this.
Yeah, well, I think the last one is kind of simple. Honestly, it's that there are more rumors floating and more press articles and mentions of new things, and when that happens, a percentage of people delay. And so, yeah, we see a piece of that. That probably affects us more in China than other places, because there's a tendency there to buy the latest thing. Although I have to say, the 7 Plus has done extraordinarily well there, and it's up double-digit from the previous year, you know, comparing to the previous generation product. And but we didn't do as well on some of the previous generation iPhones there, and we're, you know, looking at why and trying to address that.
No, the 7 Plus, had you had enough, the quarter would have been a different-looking quarter.
No, I wouldn't say that, because I feel that we were in supply-demand balance at the beginning of the quarter. But when I back up from China, what I see is the Mac business grew 20%. You know, this is extraordinary. The watch grew nicely. Services is just on a tear there. Chinese developers have really done a great job of delivering apps that people really want there. And so there's a whole set of things that's going well, and we just have to get them all to hit. In the scheme of things, though, if you back up from it, we're one of the largest foreign companies there. And we're really proud to be there and serve the market, and we're gonna keep working on it.
You've mentioned the service revenue stream several times, and I also know that when you look at the pastiche, it could be the size of a Fortune 100 company. You're on one way of that. At the same time, I think, okay, so you have, say, 150 million, let's use a conservative number of subscribers who, like me, don't even look at the price of the bill like we do for Netflix and Amazon. I'm thinking, what else can you put in there? I know that you've been talking original content. I know there's the possibility of using some of the $256 billion you have to augment that stream. The stream is one that we are very excited about on Wall Street, and the consumer's excited about. Wouldn't it be natural to put more money on that horse and bet that it could change the complexion of the company's valuation?
First of all, for this year, we think we can become a Fortune 100 company without adding something new. So it's looking at our existing suite of services. We've also said that we're going to double the services business. Our objective is to double by 2020. And you know, that projection is a sum of new services and existing services. On video in particular, what we see that the video world has kind of hit an air pocket, and where cord cutting has been happening on some kind of basis, we think it's accelerating massively, and that it's clear what the end story looks like here. The trajectory is a debate. But we'd like to play in this, because we do think that the best experience for a customer is to view things when they want, the way they want, and have many different additional information around what they're watching. You know, not just the linear TV feed. And so, yeah, we are working on some original content now. We're learning. And we'll see where this takes us.
Now, is there a possibility that someone could say, you know what, these numbers are great. The Samsung had the Fire phone, and now the phone is, they've got a new edition. But meantime, you've picked up a lot in your ecosystem. You've always talked about people switching to Apple. Are you concerned about people switching back to Samsung?
No, we don't see much of that. We don't want to see any of that. And we try really hard to retain people by giving them an experience that they really love, right? That's our objective. But generally speaking, we measure that fairly closely, and we don't see very much of that.
All right.
On the switcher side, we were very pleased that we set a record for switchers outside of China for the first 6 months of this fiscal year. As you know, we started in October, and we just finished the first half in March. And we set a record there, and we set a record for upgraders across the world. And so this felt really good.
All right. Well, what I want to do is, if you stay with me, talk a little bit bigger picture, Apple's role in the world. Okay? Thank you, Jim. Booyah! Jim Cramer here from Mad Money. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube. Click here to subscribe and get the jump on my exclusives with CEOs, plus market news, investing advice, and a whole lot more.